All right, let's just dive right into this. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating explainer called Bridging Bonds, the architecture of social connectivity. It essentially takes these super complex sociological ideas about human connection and translates them into actionable, easy to understand lessons for kids. So if you're curious about how human networks actually function and how we can teach those dynamics to the next generation, you are absolutely in the right place.
Because you see, this curriculum, it isn't just about kids learning to play nice in the sandbox or making a new buddy. No, it's way bigger than that. It's about teaching them the fundamental principles of social networking. By handing children the architectural blueprint of how relationships work early on, we're literally building future innovators and community leaders who just get the mechanics of society.
To break this all down, we're going to move through four main areas. First, the architecture of connectivity. Then, connecting my friends. Third, new ideas, new friends. And finally, being a social bridge. Starting off with part one, the architecture of connectivity, laying the groundwork.
So what's really interesting here is the overarching goal of the curriculum. It's all about empowering students to act as literal bridges to strengthen social ties. By teaching them how to engage with diverse groups, it naturally fosters creativity and helps merge totally unique ideas. Basically, this is laying the groundwork for building serious social capital later in life. It's kind of like high-level networking, but translated perfectly for the classroom.
Moving right along to part two, connecting my friends, the power of an introduction.
The core concept here is beautifully simple, but highly effective. Through a really quick 5 to 6 minute explainer, children learn that they actually have the agency to physically be a bridge between people. Just by knowing how to introduce two friends who don't already know each other, they're actively constructing a social network. How cool is that? And to put this into practice, the activity is super interactive. It involves role-playing, where kids think of two imaginary friends who haven't met, and then they literally practice the mechanics of introducing them. It completely removes the anxiety of real-world stakes, right? And it builds that muscle memory for connecting people down the line. Now, here's the crucial point. This seemingly cute childhood activity, it is actually rooted in deep, deep sociological theory. Offering to introduce two people is fundamentally a form of what sociologists call information sharing within a network. When a kid makes an introduction, they're learning how to help others by sharing the vital insight that, hey, these two individuals might actually benefit from knowing one another.
Okay, let's hit part three, new ideas, new friends, open networks, and innovation.
In this lesson, the curriculum teaches that talking to diverse groups, people who are inherently different from you, directly fosters creativity. It injects fresh, exciting ideas into personal projects, stories, or even the games they play at recess.
And the way they practice this is brilliant. The kids do a brainstorming session focused entirely on differences. They'll take a specific game or activity and then discuss how friends with totally different interests might approach that exact same game. You know, it forces them to step completely outside their own perspective and really see the immense value in diverse viewpoints.
Which perfectly illustrates the massive difference between closed networks and open networks. In a closed network, everyone's kind of the same. Everyone already knows everybody else, and, well, ideas can stagnate pretty fast. But open networks, that's where you intentionally bring in diverse people to merge dissimilar ideas and spark actual, real innovation.
And this is heavily backed by sociological research. As the source material notes, open networks, where connections are not all linked to each other, are way more likely to lead to new information and help merge dissimilar ideas. It's literally a foundational truth of innovation, just taught through the incredibly relatable lens of making new friends.
Which brings us to our final section, part 4, being a social bridge, community impact. This is where things scale up to a macro, community-wide level. The kids learn that they can be a literal bridge between entirely different interests or distinct groups of friends who wouldn't normally interact. They graduate from just connecting two individuals to literally connecting entire communities.
To really solidify this concept, they do a physical drawing activity. The kids are asked to draw a bridge connecting disparate islands in their lives. So, for example, drawing their classmates on one side and maybe their sports team friends on the other. By physically mapping this out, the children visualize their own immense power to unify a divided community.
And let me tell you, this simple drawing of a bridge over water perfectly encapsulates a highly impactful sociological theory, bridging social capital. As defined here, these are the social ties that link people together across entirely different groups or interests. It is quite literally the glue that keeps a broad society functioning and thriving.
What you should really take away from this is how wonderfully practical, hands-on activities like drawing a bridge or role-playing an introduction perfectly translate the complex mechanics of building social capital. The curriculum is taking dense academic research and turning it into lifelong tools for children.
So let's quickly recap what we've covered. Ultimately, these lessons emphasize that acting as a bridge actively strengthens our social ties. We learn that open networks are absolutely required to merge unique ideas, that diverse groups foster true innovation, and that bridging connects disparate interests. Basically, by sharing information, we don't just help ourselves, we benefit the entire community.
Since this curriculum proves so effectively that open networks merge unique ideas and build a stronger society, we kind of have to turn the mirror on ourselves, right? Are we practicing what we teach our kids? Take a look at your own life and ask yourself, are your networks open? And who can you build a bridge for today? Definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for exploring this with me, and I'll catch you on the next one.